Hello, everyone, and welcome back to VALORANT Challengers North America. We're back with more VALORANT with the lovely Gomps and the really mean Van Silly today. He was bullying me a little bit before we went live. I have to make sure the world knows. Absolutely insane.
Doesn't that make me just as bad? Because I was truly bystanding this whole time. And I didn't say anything.
That is true. Y'all are
Thank you, Gomps, for being my duo and protecting me. She's got my back. She's got my back.
Y'all the worst. Y'all the worst. I don't know. We can put that all aside and come together with the power of friendship to get through some more VALORANT for today, because we still have one more series. It's going to be Dobros going up against MXS. And this is definitely a David versus Goliath match that we got ahead of us, looking back at these teams' performances so far. But I'm still excited to see with Dobros, I think I'm safe to say clear underdog in this game, what they can showcase in today's match.
Yeah, I think there's always like a flash in the pan they could always expect coming out of Dobros, but overall, when you're looking that they have to play against Moist X Shopify, it definitely looks like on paper that it should be in favor of MXS at this point, especially when you're looking at, you know, a team that had to go through relegation. They had to go back through the relegation / play-ins. They even lost their first games actually in the play-ins to actually have to play in the lower brackets, facing off against Thinking Men in elimination to try to pull through and come back. So at least they went through the pits. That's the lowest you could go, and they've made it out of it. So they're on a climb right now. And on top of that, they're able to add Hayes. I'm pretty sure he's still in there, if I'm not mistaken, as the coach now coming in for the team. So that's going to add a little bit more for, you know, them building things up. It was okay when it came through to the mid-season cup. I mean, they still brought this to a 3-map series against TSM. So there is, once again, flash in the pan, but it's going to be very difficult for them to prove their point and to prove their worth coming up against Moist X Shopify.
I mean, for the team, they can only really go up from here at this point. You're talking about that relegation, and of course, having to face that promotion regulation tournament after the first stage definitely can't feel too good. But at least you're able to overcome it and come on by. Of course, it was the lower bracket here, Gomps, so it wasn't perfect, but being able to make their way back and showing a bit of better performance coming here in the mid-season cup again.
To be fair,
only go up from here.
Yeah, I'm going to say, to be fair, too, Blinn honestly felt like the MXS of the cup, like of the midseason, or of the relegation. I'm not going to lie. Like, Blinn was just destroying. So to go against them first honestly felt like a smack in the face. But I do think they handled themselves pretty well in the lower bracket run. Obviously needing to resolve the issues they have with Blinn, maybe at a later date. But so far, so good. For in my opinion, I do think that, you know, this team in particular definitely has a lot of potential. I think it's just as hard, though, because you're also going up against MXS now. MXS. So, like, at the same time, let's weigh our options here and see what really fits. And it really does feel like MXS kind of outweighs here. But, hey, it's week one.
All right. Plus, again, and I'm going to keep saying this, it can only go up from here. And looking back, the performance that we got to see in the mid-season cup, going up against Core. Core is a team that has been improving, that we've gotten to see a lot of good kings coming out of. And Dobros, maybe not the performance they would have wanted in terms of getting the win and being able to move on, but bringing this into a competitive 2-1 series, Van, is definitely a start to that improvement after almost being relegated out of the entire league.
Yeah.
So if they can just improve upon this, I'm really intrigued to see what they'll have for us today and the rest of the stage.
And it's also a moment where, you know, you've seen some role swaps going through from DB as well, where you saw a little bit more duelists coming out of Zachary, keeping that role as like a full-time role for the team, where Zachary, you kind of just, when you hear this name, he's usually playing like a Cypher back in like his phase D or something like that, right? And Riku actually is another one that I love to keep my eyes on, because they were actually like part of the assistant coach time. Remember the times last year of Challengers where unfortunately DSG was having a bad run going to play into the Challengers of last year, and Riku, they actually had to stub him in a couple of these games, and they're the type of player that actually just studies VODs, watches the games, builds strategies for DSG, and also puts up numbers at the same time. So again, that's why when I'm saying flash in the pan, at least individually, they have the skill set needed. Now they just need to figure out how they could put it all together, and hopefully Hayes is going to be the one that's going to be able to help out the team for that since the midseason cup.
It's been a couple of weeks, so what they've been able to put together in scripts, what they've been able to talk out, I'm excited. But we got to start talking about MXS now, because, again, when we're looking at the David versus Goliath, MXS definitely the Goliath in this. And looking at the squad across the board, this was a team with the skilled players across the board, Gomps, that we knew was going to be super powerful coming into this. Mata has been the talk of a lot of like, hey, what pro should we be looking out for here in Challengers? Brock the Broctagon has been showing up every match. Like, this whole core has been really strong.
I love the name Brock the Broctagon. I never thought of Flya the Flya. I don't know. Anyways, maybe I should just stop making names.
He's so
but
Flya?
He's so
Sorry, keep
fly.
going.
Wait, you're actually so good at these, and it makes me sad that I'm not. But it's I think that this whole entire team in particular just meshes so well, right? Like I feel like Mata obviously everyone just sets each other up for success, which obviously hence why they have those names, Fly So Fly and stuff like that. But for me, Moistech Shopify, they've just shown, like, they've just shown up, and there really is nothing other to say than that. Like, they've never struggled.
They're showing up, they're playing, they're winning. That's good enough. You know what? At this point, this is a roster that looks really good. And you talked about it at this point, Sierra, where they're a team that actually really found a groove, and Mata has been finding more comfort in this duelist role and finding resurgence as a duelist role for this roster. And when you're looking at the standings, I mean, they're also a group that went undefeated in their group stages and had a very good run in the mid-season cup. It was only that they had to play against their kryptonite opponents, being Oxygen Esports, and once again, unfortunately losing to them at that point in a third map that went 13-11 on split. That almost was the comeback for MXS to push us into overtime. So for me, when you're looking at the Titans of, the top four, usually MXS, Oxygen, M80, and Turtle Troop, you're starting to see like a, holy crap, Oxygen and Turtle Troop look kind of good right now. M80, unfortunately, not as much. But then for MXS, it's just like, these guys are just consistently good so far. And unfortunately, just when they have those losses, they're important losses. You know, the only loss that they've suffered is one that prevented them from making it to the grand finals of the mid-season cup. If anything outside of that, though, they're still a great roster and probably top two at this point in contention with Oxygen Esports in that conversation.
And still, just looking back at this match, the match that they had going up against Oxygen here, when we're looking back at that mid-season cup, it was something that it did come down to such a wire too. So I feel like when we're looking at MXS, this is definitely one of the teams that is in discussions for Ascension, for these players moving on forward and everything else. I feel like even though the team has shown us so much so far, I mean, a 5-0 for stage one, everything else, there's definitely, you can't be like, oh man, like they're doing bad at all. But like, I feel like the players across the board, Gomps, that stage two and more time going on forward, that this can just be the talk of the town. Like they have a little revenge now. They're going to be coming after Oxygen, but I think they definitely have the skill here to be the #1 team. Yeah,
honestly, and I would have to agree. For the #1 team, man, honestly, I just feel like everyone is so close. You look at, you guys are going to call me controversial. I think M80 is definitely up there as well. Listen, hear me out. M80, Moist, X Shopify, Oxygen, stuff like that, right? These teams in particular have been fighting so hard, and they've put out good results. They've put out good numbers, but I feel like it is hard too, because now, like, we're kind of in the early stages of now Moist, X Shopify going against Dobros and fighting against the team that, you know who the favorite's going to be. You know who has, the top spot, or I guess who is the top dog. And I feel like it's pretty obvious as to performance-wise what we're going to see. But for Dobros, I'm kind of hoping that they fight back. I feel like I want to see a villain story, and I love creating problems. So this is perfect.
I mean, I would be shocked if we don't see them fighting back today. And I'm excited for Dobros to leave their heart out on the field and the maps that we have ahead of us. And speaking of, let's head over to our map picks and bans for where we're going to be headed to for the series. What's exciting about an underdog story is you never know what they're going to be pulling out, but Van's first map pick of Lotus.
Yeah, and this actually, surprisingly enough, it's being picked by Dobros, which I say surprising because I still like the look that I've been seeing from MXS ever since they pulled out the breach in this Brimstone, sorry, into their composition on Lotus and found some very good success coming into this one. But Dobros are also a team that, you know, are trying to figure things out. They're playing things a little bit more default with a fade in their composition. And when you're trying to clean things up, I mean, it could still work into your favor. I mean, they're also a team that, you know, was relegated at this point, and you're trying to find the maps where you have the most comfort. So it's Lotus that they played a lot. They're 1-2 in that. They're finding a lot of success into Ascent, which allows for them to float and also see as a third map. So this is great. But then we get into Breeze as well, where MXS, I mean, you're going to fight against Mono as a Jet, and that's going to be a very difficult one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a pretty good and stark way of putting it. But, yeah, you know, if they could find a way to be shutting him down, I definitely don't think when there is this stage 2 ahead of us, and for MXS, who are sitting pretty with points, I don't see how Dobros aren't going to be sitting up here. And maybe even if we're getting at this point, like, hey, MXS is the team we have to go up against Gomps, if there is a little bit of anti-stratting, because MXS, there's definitely tape on them here.
Oh, yeah. I feel like that'd be the smartest thing for any team, right? To anti-strat, to kind of think ahead of the squad. And you're coming in, again, we talk about like Mana and stuff like that. You know that this is a strong player. How can we counter that?
Yeah.
What are the tendencies that Mana like to play with? What can we do to stop these pushes, to make this team uncomfortable, to bring them outside of that box so that we have more of a chance at getting comfortable in our own?
Well, let's see what they have for the first map. This is Dobro's map of Lotus, and time to head over to the map and our agent select. Let's get started.
Woo!
I love how excited you get every time. And I'm excited. I'm excited. I love Clove. This is exactly what I wanted to see. Clove looked so freaking good the last time we got to see Clove, especially on this map as well. And honestly, I think Riku's going to own on the Clove. I think Clove is definitely going to be something that makes Moist X Shopify very uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's a great call and a great shout as well to Scuba finding great value as a Clove on Oxygen Esports, and this time Riku, they're going to pull it out on their side for Dobros. But the addition as well of adding Drone on a Deadlock, and that is also some value that we've seen from, for example, Sadak over at Loud, the Annihilation that they could use to take good control towards the C side, and also Annihilation that takes control of, for example, the baby door when you're trying to get those angles in. This is great ways for them to be very oppressive on how they're entering the sites or taking control of the maps here on their attack side. But at least on defense, you could still throw a wall that's going to be very hard to deal against and could split out any type of the hits that could be going towards the C site, for example, with Moist X Shopify. Because think about it, with this type of comp that you have from MXS, when Mada's going to have to satchel through, if Drone's able to split that space making that Bada gets and the players cannot follow behind that, that's a great opportunity to not allow Moist X Shopify to really flood within the sites. So I'm really intrigued of this approach by choosing a Deadlock instead of a Killjoy, for example, or a Cypher. This might render difficult once they take the attack side when they can't really lurk as much, but I think for Oxygen Esports, they didn't really need to lurk that much anyways when they had a Clove in their composition. So this is going to be fun to see what they cook up with, what they've been cooking up with. Sorry, for DB.
I think they definitely took some inspiration there, because I don't know, I feel like everyone has been waiting to, not everyone, but a lot of people have been waiting to incorporate Clove, just because they are incredibly strong. And I feel like even right now, definitely not getting enough credit that they should, because the performance that we got to see, like you had talked about with Scuba, was insane. And it really did show me personally how much emphasis, or I guess importance, that we can put on Clove. But of course, 3 players already surrounding just within B. Clove looking to make an aggressive play off the rip there.
Guys, just trying to find early info at the beginning too. Some defaulting that we currently see from MXS on a 4-1 split. This camera that's been placed out by Odashima to try to look back towards the A side. So they're noticing that there's no push coming out except for mid, and that's Riku. They're able to get the first blood in this matchup.
No peeking.
That's going to be huge too. Taking out one of your initiators for this side, especially with it being Flya. And looking to reconnect down over on A. Some information from Odashima, but Riku now there as well, so they're watching.
I got you.
Didn't get any information though.
I think that's something that MXS is going to have to start paying attention to, that whenever they're defaulting towards the C side, you might need to keep one player back towards that spawn to go, that could launch an aggressive push like that, because the trips are not going to give you the same type of information as a turret would with a killjoy in the composition for a lot of these teams on Lotus. But now the door gets opened up for them to try to sell a fake towards this A site so they can try to capitalize on a pop into B.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a good read so far, because B's up for grabs.
30 seconds left.
Door opens though, and it kind of catches them off guard with Riku. Making sure they're there to meet some sort of contact over towards A. But again, Paranoia
Spike
kind of laid down from Ange to stop someone from taking them out. They need to stay alive if they want the retake, if they want the space here, which is going to be very dire, especially for the retake situation there from Dobros. But a slow peek up coming through from Zachary. They do manage to get some of that damage, and it's DB with a possibility of taking this first round. Yep, it is going to be taken for sure. They forced it, if anything.
Okay, so remember I was saying that it's gonna be a hard game for Dobros? I take it back, because that was some super clean fundamentals coming on how they executed and took advantage of their defensive half here of Lotus. The triple push towards B was a great thing to start, but the fact here that Ange threw a Paranoia and fell back towards the spawn to drag and pull two players with him to try to take him down, that allows the rest of DB to move out from Waterfall and take over the site and have less bodies to fight against towards B main and towards the Heaven, which allowed for them to crunch very easily and flip the map over to their advantage. And the trades were perfect, the trades are beautiful, and DB is looking really good and well prepared here on this map.
Oh, but look at this. There's so much patience here. Even with the smoke leak down, they know that, okay, they can preoccupy some of that space, but we're still going to be the ones to keep the site. So they're not too worried about that. Some space taken up, though, over towards the C side with Riku still standing.
Yeah, it's just on an eco trying to play the contact, and Riku's already out in the open. Beautiful.
Yeah, they're just ripping this team apart. Riku with the overkill now. Honestly, just initiating on the fights and doing a good job at keeping them too. But luckily enough, finding one. So with these pistols, I guess comes some sort of good news. Even then, Zachary somehow just manages to get a flake, but the Outlaw doing good damage. The spike could very well go over to the hands of the C site, though. Quite difficult with Deadlock. Placing down some of that util.
30 seconds left.
Just to be in a very good spot here. And if anything, Ange could even Paranoia once they come through, and there's a smoke first. And he's got a bulldog against the others. There's really nothing there. I mean, it looked pretty good here for at least a start on how MXS wanted to take control of the C side to start things off here, Goms, because they walked up for contact. They wanted to make sure that they could push away any type of players that could be setting a potential trap play at the top of the orb. And once they realized that there's nobody there, then you could fall back and take control of the orb. But little did they know, Rico was just standing outside in the open, getting ready to just find a timing and swing out. And they got the most value out of it to get the first blood and information. Nonetheless, though, still ends up being an orb being picked up by Brock. He dies. Now he's close to a Thrash, and now they have weapons to work with. Continue with the same type of conditioning where the Dizzy might not be able to get too much value because they've already one-way smoke from the Clove of Riku, and Zachary has an Outlaw watching that line. So controlling this orb, trying to get the ult up ASAP is not going to work out too well. So instead, MXS, they need to now split into the B site, push some players away, open the door, and fight back, and that's Riku to fall.
It's going to be a first. They were so confident with the gameplay that they were kind of putting out before that it does shut them down instead. But the B side completely left out in the open for MXS to take. But a flank they're not even well aware of. I mean, the door has been opened. They know Ange is there, quite possibly. They have to manage to clear this. They're not going to shoot through box. They're not going to do anything. Ange just waiting for Flya, to make the move. But Brock doesn't even care if they're not clearing the angle. It's the timing that's so immense here. Oh no. And timing may that be, not even checking behind. Oh, but Ange knows. Very well aware of the situation at hand with the Paranoia. Now actually taking Brock in hand. Smoke set up, but on the site there is at least one player left alone. And Ange just needs to keep the clearing here, and it might just work, but it doesn't. Headshot from Mata to keep MXS in the game.
A nice 4K by Mata, but that is just so unlucky for Ange, where he slipped through once again the net, the door opening. The idea was to have the Outlaw look back towards the B main. And once Zachary said, hey, there's nobody peeking in there, he just slipped through and stayed behind the box. It was just waiting for players to play the outside post plant into B main, but nobody was there. So he smokes out. At least he gets the kill into fly up, but everybody else is playing outside B and also towards baby door. So unfortunately, not too much value outside of that. And then after he dies or gets the first pick, you're now forcing the hand of players to run through, and MXS converts in the end. It ends up being a clean post plant. A 2-1 victory so far for DB. Mata trying to find an aggressive opening inside B main, stopped by a wall. Great way to waste a utility very early from drone. That's already a net as well. So you're weakening out B side and C. It gives a chance here for MXS to just rework the map now.
Spectra.
Leaning towards the C side where Riku's going to have to come up huge. The only thing that they're going to have as a line of defense is a solo hold with a sensor, a metal, and hoping that it's going to decay a lot of people to get a multi-kill.
Monster on the loose.
Trying to get crash set on to the site, but it doesn't matter. Drone gets shut down pretty aggressively, especially down for DB, so definitely keeping away some of that util. Doesn't even matter. MXS very, very well solidified onto the C site.
Spike planted.
And Riku's still waiting here, so preventing players from pushing towards the spawn, giving a chance for the rest of Dobros to rotate back. Again, metal still available. They have haunt. They have a lot of util to flood back inside the site. Ange could also TP across the trip, and he does so. So a great opportunity to surprise some players.
The surprise may come when Mata feels fit. I'm so, like, intrigued as to why he didn't want to push anything up, though, but I guess, you know, keeping the patience better, especially with Ange just looking for the flank there. The defense keeping hold, and DB just surprising the pack. I mean, 3-1 already coming through from MXS, 4 against MXS.
But still a very nice retake by Dobros. Look at how important that seize was that was thrown towards that spike to prevent Mata to get value off the amount of farming orbs that he's gotten to initiate the showstopper. Gets no value out of that, and that TP towards the back and the paranoia that hits 2 from Ange allows a huge retake for DB, and they understood the amount of time they had remaining to get the perfect timing for that defuse towards the end. And that's MXS now, making sure that they need to watch their backs here on these post plans, because these TP lurks are looking pretty good here. That's twice that DB is able to take advantage of trips set up by Otoshima that they punish MXS for it. Now you see them on a force buy here for MXS. I mean, it's still buying to a point where you could have a decent buy in the next, especially if you have a plant. But they're defaulting across, trying to see where the pressure could be coming from. They realize here it's towards the A site. They form up the orb as well for Dobros. So that's a showstopper now available as well. And that might start hurting MXS here, the more rounds that are trying to fight on this attack side of Lotus.
Could execute on P. I think the biggest difficulty is just getting past that clove. Ange here, too, with a paranoia. So this is a huge shutdown that could happen at any moment in time.
Yeah.
Retake potential from Zachary as well with the showstopper already. First one taken out. Paranoia to step back. So they've already reached
Cover going out.
I mean, everything they could there for DB. Done a good job, especially for Manch, just keeping this back.
30 seconds left.
As they break the wall, 30 seconds left. This is a fake right now towards the C side, but I mean, Riku could stay here towards B. They have the metal, they have the ult. They could face the action right in the front.
Oh, but the resurrection comes through, and Rico is ready to keep
10 seconds left.
DB alive.
One enemy
I mean,
remaining.
even then they did kind of push themselves forward, but MXS majority already downed, and TB, Dobros just not really caring. I mean, they're looking flawless so far. They're winning out every single fight. They know how to hold back, and like you said, like the mechanics and everything just already looked immaculate from the start.
Yeah, and Riku made sure that they kept the full timer of that res just so that it could be an owl drone pretty much around the site, so that Zachary could get the most value here off the showstopper to even connect onto a kill. So for these fakes to try to be pulled out of MXS with zero information, it's a lot of gambles that you're seeing they're trying to do to take control of these sites, because they're defaulting for too long of a time at the beginning of these rounds, right? There's not too much time left when they're finally going for the and pulling for the executes, that the fake maybe, or the fakes rather, don't get the best value out of those. And they tried there with Mata inside that C site. So for MXS pulling out this timeout, I think they're going to have to try to tempo up here, especially when they have the opportunity to have stim packs to work with, for Mata to satchel across to gain some early space. They haven't really contested the A side too much yet, but maybe that's something that they could try.
Definitely studied up against this team for sure, I feel.
Listening.
Because I'm not noticing them really picking up on anything that MXS is putting down. They're like just very solidified in their own play for Dobros.
Yeah.
And kind of keeping to that, which is impressive. Not really falling for any sort of fake out. I mean, even here, not really giving it to anything else as well. Slightly gathering information. Spike's still set down though, so not 100% sure on that A.
They have an outlaw watching online too. They want to give a chance for Vic to move forward and grab the orb, and there is that pressure towards that A side. Finally, they get an opener. Orbital strike now available. They have to clear out Ange. TP's out. Ooh. Well banged though.
Cage triggered.
Looking for the walk up here. Dissipation of the smoke and Riku.
Uh-oh.
Slow movement forward. Yeah, Zachary is just prepped and ready to find one. And the second as well already taken away. So that's huge off of Dobros. They just like don't miss.
Perfect reads. And the fact that they invested in the outlaw for Zachary, knowing that they had a lower buy for MXS. Buy round with small shields, catching players off guard where MXS is trying to work the map once again and overthinking it when they have first blood and orb control and orbital strike. At least Vic is trying to save the round now for the team.
30 seconds left.
Yeah, Riku shut down. 2v2 though. I don't believe the ultimate is, yeah, no, not set up and ready. So right now it is a huge probability to take things back. They have the orbital strike to kind of play for that. I hate that. I hate they just let it go. They just let the wingman go on his own. But the orbital strike kind of there to
One enemy
fix
remaining.
up the situation at hand though. Zachary with the outlaw making the damage happen. And this is it. The slowdown going there. The time doesn't matter, but Zachary still manages to find a way.
And with a beautiful grav net that's thrown by drone just to make sure that you keep that planter planted, literally. And Zachary can move in with a quick scope off the outlaw for the pickup. 4K in the round for Zachary. But I'm just laughing because this is like the, third time in 2 rounds that they're just letting the wingmen go through for MXS and just trying to get a plant down, and it gets instantly denied by just one player standing out in the open and getting an easy kill. And then that second time, they try to bring it through, it gets broken, they pick it up, try to sell a fake, and then once again throws away the wingman with no protection and no possibilities to trade because they're relying too much on the orbital strike. And then they're forcing it to just try to create space. It becomes just an impossible situation and a pulse plan in the end. So MXS, they're not looking too comfortable so far. Where again, it's interesting because I've mentioned how comfortable they look with this comp in the last 2 games that they played. But against now a Clove and a Deadlock, it seems to be really keeping them stunned so far.
Nice shot off Riku. They always do so good at just like executing, you know, those first engagements. Like a big peek out through B. Otoshima, unfortunately, going to be the first one down. But the wingman now ready. I'm worried for the fact that they just let him go out onto the site by itself with the spike. And that really, really worries me sometimes.
Thankfully, this time there was a Dizzy, right? Now they also have a Thrash to work with. They have site control. They have a Rolling Thunder, so they could delay and win now. Just depends what happens if they're able to get the right positioning.
They can't find anything with the Prowler. So now they're going to have to... Dobros are going to have to try to figure out a way kind of get most of the space that they're missing out on. Thrash doing a good job at keeping Vic safe, but even right now, the headshot's coming through, and Drone manages to get a refrag. But the potential here for Dobros is immense.
the most crucial kill just came off screen. You just saw by the door, the backup from Flya about to pull out the Rolling Thunder to delay even more from the tree towards the site. And just as he's about to click, Riku was just around the corner coming out from Baby Door, and they get the backstab and the flank and does not allow for MXS to delay and win off time with the pulse plant. And this is looking so good on how DB is just scaling back together as a group. This looks well cohesioned. This is looking like a well-oiled machine. And they're setting perfect trades, perfect pathing, and also adding a buddy system as they're retaking these sites.
Yeah, they've set Drone down. Maybe try to push for something big here, but it seems like, yeah, that's all that it is going to be. The Rolling Thunder push forward, but Ange is so good. They sit on the extremities of that. They find the first, and now Mana's gone, so they lose it on that duelist for that entry. And all they have now to really utilize is just a couple of util to keep themselves by for now for the retake.
They have double ult too, so maybe running Riku in while Drone could start the annihilation as they're trying to get information inside the site. It's going to be off the molly once it dissipates.
Oh, and there's so many blinds moving forward. Nobody can see, but that's the beauty of the game. And even then, with the peek coming through, Zachary keeps DB alive, and it is over. They finally found another one, 7-1, and it just keeps going, which is absolutely insane to me. Is that they can just continue to run away with this on the retake after retake after retake.
And now with all these type of compositions and different looks that you're seeing here on the map like Lotus, you're starting to see Lotus have the same type of results or shift in terms of how these rounds are being won versus like Ascent, for example, right? Ascent, when it first started, you could always tell that it was going to be more defender-sided in the ranked games, in the official matches, just because how easier it is to just hold these sites. But once you realize that the mapping around defaulting around the sites is grabbing orb, grabbing this, grabbing that, you're able to maximize a little bit more how you could get better timings here on your defensive side. And DB, with a change of a comp on top of these timings that they're getting, are really showing that they have a well-prepared defensive half to display so far against MXS, who they, on their end, is just like, okay, well, nothing's working. Let's just death ball towards B, and hoping our aim will be able to add some of that confidence back in our favor.
Spike planted.
Oh, the Drone. All they need to do now is push themselves forward. Zachary has, the showstopper to push through and maybe to create a scare tactic, but they don't even push far enough. They just utilize that at any point in time, leaving Flya available to take out majority of these players. And it leaves it up to Riku. Riku doesn't even have the ultimate, so the resurrection not able to come through. Smoke laid down to try to give them something to keep themselves in the game. But a paint shell to create some of that damage and a huge distraction on both sides. Thrifty round given away to MXS, finally putting themselves on the board again.
Okay, finally. Like I said, it was just like, let's move in as a group here for MXS and just hold our grounds in. I think the round where they had some sort of success too is getting that plant towards that B site and having those two players anchored up towards Baby Door, so they could actually delay a little bit more with the util and just making sure that, you know, their aim is no matter what still really good and they could still fight against the retake from attempt, at least from DB. So at this point, there's some silver lining, some hope, maybe some way that MXS is finally... Oh no, this Hot is gonna get so much. Wait, the showstopper missed?
They're still pushing? Oh my gosh. Mana was stuck in a very, very bad spot after that one. Oh my goodness. But they still are pushing for this. Lots of space already taken up by Orochi, but nobody knows. This is huge.
Oh, this is gonna be probably the most important kills. Actually, somebody's figuring it out. Zachary's already watching it towards heaven. Uh-oh.
No. Smoke dissipates. Zachary has it.
Spike planted.
Yeah, no Sodashima's down at the bottom, but they've at least managed to get one. They've cleared up the site. Zachary forced to push back.
Yeah, they got that trade-off. Just waiting here for Riku to move forward. Has a pick-me-up too if they're able to get a one pick to try to flip back inside the site. We talked about a buddy system, but unfortunately, the buddy system is moving towards the staircase. It damages Flyer, though.
One enemy remaining.
But nobody can get picked off. Drone struggling to even peek the angle as you got 2 players watching. And now they found themselves. MXS not feeling too, I guess, scared about what Riku is performing with it, as well as Drone. And then this weird composition that really did take time to get used to.
Took a couple of rounds as well. They're starting to figure out here just to up the tempo right now for MXS, and not giving that respect here for Dobros is finding some sort of success to start, right? We've seen the blast towards the B main, a fast hit towards the A site. They might try it again now with this time Otoshima lurking potentially towards the B or C site. Only one C's being thrown though on the other end of Dobros. This might be a re-hit from MXS because they haven't hurt nades. They haven't really seen any more util that's coming out here at the front. And trying to look through the one way, they haven't seen too much of aggression out of the defensive side, and there you go. Now it's being well cleared by MXS. They're a weak side on the A site for DB, and Precision has no choice but to fall back and potentially give up the site. But this is also DB on an eco, right? They have 2 hero rifles. They're trying to gamble towards another side of the site. Now they have to play the retake.
Oh, but 2 players already peeking out in the angle makes it so much harder for MXS to hold on. Mata, though.
Spike down A.
Spike down 2.
Yeah, has gotten 2, but this is great for the defense. Oh no, but Mata has honestly a lot of decency to work with. Otoshima finding one just based off util alone.
You just saw Riku went for the res and then ran inside the site. So despite them getting tripped up and killed by Otoshima, that's already information of where the 2 players are at. And when Clove is down, they could still smoke out and cover these areas and not give a chance for MXS to really find a surprise attack. So you have to open the door. DB has control of the spike, and he also one way on top of that. That's so annoying to deal against.
No surprises. One enemy remains.
Saw them. They know exactly where they are. Drone's patience just paid off. And that's all you need. I mean, 8-3, we're kind of reaching up to half now. So if MXS doesn't run away with this one, they're giving themselves a huge disadvantage moving into the next half.
Yeah, and that's a thrifty run for DB. We mentioned it, 2 rifles and pistols. And they had the perfect read for MXS to start. But yet, they don't know what was happening behind the first point of utility from Precision towards this A site, so that when they smoked things up, DB was already rotated over. And what did they do? They just brute force through the smoke and just tried to go for the fundamentals of trading, and it worked out in their favor. This is just really nice.
They moved out. Drone is so lucky to be alive because they can use util now to keep this team back. And all they need now for Dobros, if they want to keep themselves alive to secure that 9-3, oh no, but tons of information. I mean, they could back off at any point in time.
It's probably another re-hit, though, because all these walls got broken, especially with the Rolling Thunder. Oh, no.
Exactly what they're going to do.
Oh,
Drone
no.
did secure 3, but it doesn't matter. Otoshima is still alive. 85 health left. There's no shield. Not to mention tons of util. Paranoia, smokes, right? Like everything that you can use. The Prowler. All there is one very skinny line keeping everyone alive on the side of MXS. Otoshima can't even play with it. They've completely surpassed that. And the cam not connected. People peeks through. They know all they need to do is get one, but they managed to do so. And it doesn't matter. Ange cleans up very, very nice and neat for DB.
Again, look at those fundamentals coming through. And this is a second time, unfortunately, that a Rolling Thunder coming out from Flya, and you're still going to be able to sidestep away from that. The first one getting so much value from when Ange was at the A site. This time, look at this right here. Drone is at the bottom right of your screen. Avoids the Rolling Thunder, gets 2 kills, and allows for the rest of the players to just set up here on this double team setup on a retake. A bunch of util hitting Otoshima, and DB. At this point, I am not surprised that we have a scoreline of 9-3 at this half, just because they played some great Valorant on the first half. If you asked me the same question going into this game, I would have not believed you that DB looked like an iron team that is a contender now in Challengers for the second stage. So far, there's been so many good teams through what we've witnessed from yesterday till today. Yeah. That they've done some net improvements from stage 1 and the MSC to keep this competitive, and not anymore a storyline about the top dogs of the top 4. Everything looks even from top to bottom, at least for now.
Most likely just same approach as we see at least MXS do before, just kind of keeping things slow. They're just shooting it down, honestly. At this point.
I mean, for Riku, who has amazing aim throughout the first half, and they just struggled to fight a trip in front of B is a little bit funny. But nonetheless, you're breaking a lot of util. You're forcing MXS now to make a play. Started pushing out towards the A main, but there's still two players waiting for them there. This might be a pullback if Mata gets traded out. But Mata gets both!
Oh, there's absolutely no way. Dude, and that's a game changer, too. This pistol round, definitely one of the most important ones, giving MXS some leeway. Hey, we can get a couple, at least 2 rounds up.
30 seconds left.
To give ourselves some space to kind of get some sort of redemption, but they've only lost out on 2 on the side of Dope Bros, and the Jiggle Peaks aren't really helping out, but Modest doing amazing. 3K leading into this round. And now having to fight their demons when it comes down to precision. Timing is key! And maybe precision is just that. Precise Odashima. All they need to do is peek, and this is it for them. 31 and a win for DB.
No way did that happen there for MXS. Precision isolated every single timing perfectly there on that 1 versus 4. Everything from the aftershock, I felt, at least at this point, you could have baby double swung off the aftershock once the spike has been planted. But MXS was playing not to lose, waiting for their teammates to rotate around here from the waterfall, from spawn, and look at the opportunity, the gap of time that was given here for Precision to take advantage of. And that should not have been a pistol round in favor of Dobros at all.
Oh.
They're G lasers right now with their shots.
That's the rebrand, by the way, guys, if you don't know. They're rebranding to G lasers. This is actually not true. Don't listen to me at all. We are going over to C. Seems like
there's
that might
nobody
be,
there.
Yeah, the best spot, quite honestly. I mean, they only have a cam, but a retake is better than anything.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you're trying to just go full classics, hoping that DB only gets 11 going into the next round where you have now weapons, rifles, and utility. And you try to do some heroic play with Mata with the Outlaw. He did 140 to Zachary. And then you're trying to have the follow-up behind with the classics because now you could just do body shots for the rest. So I understood the idea of what they're trying to do for MXS at that point. But now you're giving a chance for DB to just move inside the C site and get a plant. Zachary just died. Remember, he only had 10 HP after the Outlaw kill. But this should be pretty decent here for MXS for the for DB for the pulse plant.
All they need to do is hold the angle. They can take out Vic. Void. A lot of struggle, but maybe it's up to Vic to kind of get something of their own because there's a lot of struggle leading up to the site, but Vic goes down. And everybody else on the front line has to figure out a way to find some of that space, but it doesn't come easy, and it will not come easy at all. Drone shuts it down. Wow, okay. I might have to redact my statement in the beginning when I was like, MXS might be the best team. Because Dobros is looking really good right now.
Oh, this is a nice spot.
Too good.
Yes.
MXS almost at the point of no return here. Their last saving grace is this rifle round that they currently have and hoping to convert this into something decent. But with that buy that you previously had, for Dobros, with the Bulldogs coming through, a good bonus across. Even if they lose this one, this is still going to be a big rifle round in the next round for DB. So MXS, they have to convert this round with minimal casualties. And Mata really does want to give a chance here for DB to set up. A bait for the trip to push Zachary out. Beautiful start. Recalls the trip and now can place it inside the site.
Watching like a hawk, though. Nobody pushing outward on the side of MXS. They've always kept this patient outlook. And I haven't seen them be very aggressive, so it's interesting to see, you know, DB just wait
I have the spike.
for this team to make a move here.
It's quite simple here. I mean, you have so many rounds cushioned up for Dobros that even if you lose the first player, you could now go back into the objectives, making sure you're playing the long game for yourself as well. Maximizing the orb value, orb control, And while this time, even if they lost the first player towards this A main, when Precision was here the whole time, he now knew that there was nobody pushing forward because of this trip that was set.
Yeah.
30 seconds left.
And that gives away. They have to run at this point because with 30 seconds, there's no way they can create a fake off this.
Should be another war picked up though, no?
They still do
Instead,
have
no,
camp.
they're just tempoing in here. They're just tempoing into the site, so they're going to give up on the orb. They just want to execute into the A site.
13 seconds. Spike finally planted. So now they can get comfortable. And this is where things really do start to get a bit hesitant and just messy for MXS. The retakes leading into this, especially now with like so much deadlock util placed on the choke points. The only thing left is the site, but they have everything there. All they need to do, paranoia themselves in. Maybe get a possible pick moving forward with Jerome getting ready with the util.
Oh, missed the sensor.
Yeah, not placed very well. And Precision with the flash. This is great. Keeping them in the game. MXS now peeking at the angle with Riku, having to preoccupy themselves so much to look out for the 1v3. That just will not go in the way of Dobros. Finally, MXS once again finding another.
We'll have just to see if it's going to be as clean as we want it to be, because that's 3K off the win that they have. They lost 2 bodies. They got to rebuy shields for a couple of players. This might be an opportunity for Zachary to, I was going to say pull out an outlaw if you wanted to try to use that as a snipe, but maybe instead they're going to go for the casual satchel to create space and follow behind the lure buy that you have from MXS in this round. Still ended up being pretty good for MXS towards the end. A nice little retake. You're going to take at least that round despite the number of casualties that you've lost here and that you suffered in that previous round.
Yeah. Still very, very quiet, but MXS, they've pushed up further and gaining a bit more ground, but patience on both sides. And this smoke dissipating, definitely starting off the fight. With the Prowler now seeing, they know that the Fate has not been left alone before, so they know there's more than one. The wide swing moving forward, and they know there's 3. This is a huge possibility to take this into account. Dobros could run away with more than one, but they back off. MXS, the obedience is huge.
That's quite nice from both teams. That paranoia, they hit 3. For Dobros, they didn't know how many players they actually hit off that paranoia, but they swung through, and then you had to smoke it out to keep the players alive. Now it comes down to the lurk players working around the map. That's Ange with 2 kills. And a map opened up for DB to take advantage of.
There's not much to settle for, especially when Brock is just taking you down left and right. So 2v2, Ange creating an opening. It might just work out. Odashima knows there's somebody on the right-hand side, but it's Ange with a wide swing straight out of smoke. And a huge victory for DB.
How many multi-kills are we currently having from DB to just turn around over on the sides? And the advantage of Dobros. That's a 4K for Ange, a 4K for Precision Dawn and Pistol Round. The amount of multi-kills that we saw from Riku on their attack side, and Zachary, I remember, also had a 4K. And these guys are lighting up the scoreboard for Dobros against MXS here. This might be a new way to approach the map for Dobros. I was going to say that we don't have too many advantages of seeing Dobros on the attack side because of the 9-3 half that they've gotten on their defense. We're starting to see here that despite this double control that doesn't slice off the map, you don't have like you're playing single initiator. There's no Cypher finding cameras for active information. You're still getting great value out of this composition.
Yeah, they've actually applied some pressure there. Trying to use all of this util, but Mata now having to be shot out. But it doesn't matter. I mean, regardless, Mata's gone. Now they have to fight without him, but it's DB that just continue to win fights. Mata fighting for their lives with 5 health left, and another one fought by. Resurrection there, though. 2v2 situation, and Vic there with the Sheriff. Equal playing field. They still have the Vandal for precision. They could take out Vic. No, but a Vandal picked up.
One of those rare moments that we had a chance to highlight Brock yet. Is able to get some huge impact frags for MXS and an opportunity to potentially win here this round. Keep MXS alive here in this fight. Precision has a haunt ready in 3 as he opens the door. Just throw the haunt inside the smoke.
Ooh, Looking for a spray down. Closer and closer! Precision! Zippo clutch to end it off. And the victory for Dobros. Man, that's just gotta feel immaculate.
Oh, I mean, especially when you're seeing two huge clutch rounds by Precision in the pistol round and the one closed in the map here for Dobros. That is confidence going into the series. Right now, you've won your map pick for Dobros. It's the first map you played, and you have a great opportunity to carry this over to that second map and really deflate MXS in the second map.
They ran with it, and Dobros, they were not here to play. I'm going to be honest with you. Whatever they were doing in the background, like whatever they were doing while there was time to start practicing name rebrand, I guess that's what the thing is. I don't know. Like, whatever they were doing, it's working, and I'm really happy that we got to see it here first, but we got a second map, and that map is where things start to get feisty. Please do not go anywhere. We will be back with more VALORANT NA Challengers.
The game starts long before the game starts.
Let's go.
And warm hands are faster hands.
This one was a
Gain
lot
the
more
upper hand
interesting.
and power up your pregame warm-up with Zippo hand warmers.
Comp change that it works.
Face.